What's her name? What's her name?
Right. Love that.
Forget it.
Good morning and happy Sunday. Everyone hear me okay? Right. Welcome everyone. I'm Jenny Castleberry and I am part of the team that is bringing you spectacular Sundays throughout the month of June. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. But first we want to say a special welcome to our dads out there. Happy Father's Day. And not just the dads, but all of the divine masculine that's out there, right? We can say, welcome to all the divine masculine. In fact, divine masculines, or just masculine in general, has kind of gotten a bad rap lately, right? I see some people doing this. I see people nodding. And I think we understand why, right? I mean, if we take a look at our world, we can definitely see that in our souls and in our systems, in our planet and our people, a little too much masculine has got us in kind of a tight spot in some places. But every spiritual tradition that I have ever heard of understands the need for both, right? We need to, all of us, embody both sides of that. Because sometimes we need competition and we need collaboration. Sometimes we need action and sometimes we just need reflection. So you're going to hear us talk about that today. In fact, we're going to have a special ceremony later year to honor dads, father figures, the divine masculine. And we're actually looking at two things this day. We're celebrating two holidays. We're celebrating Father's Day, and it's Juneteenth. So you're going to hear a special message, the main message from a wonderful guest speaker about his journey with fatherhood. And then you're going to hear two from our congregation give some special readings around Juneteenth. So we have some very cool things. But there are three bits of housekeeping that we need to take care of first. First of all, who has a cell phone that's still turned on? Oops. So this is your chance to take care of that so that we don't have to embarrass you later, because you have. And then also, we'd like to honor folks who are here for the first time. So is anybody up or down here for the first time? Just raise your hand. We've got one person here. So we would like to give you a flower. And we'd like to say, stay for lunch after, which we'll also talk about later. It's on the house today. When it is your first Sunday, you get a free lunch. So yay that. And then the last thing that we do like to do is what is called a land acknowledgement. And we do this because it's important for us to remember that this ground we are on isn't just our sacred ground, that this was someone else's ground. And I want to get this right, so I'm going to read it. It's to acknowledge the Cheyenne, the Arapaho, and the Ute peoples. This is their indigenous land that we are currently residing on. And it's important to name that because their legacy matters, who they were, who they are today. So let's take a moment to sit with that we are on their very sacred land. And it's part of what helps our holiness as we're here. And one thing that's really important to us as well is we don't just say statements, okay? We don't just stand up here and acknowledge and then go on our merry way. We want you to know that we try to think about ways that we can go beyond a statement and actually try to give back to Indigenous communities. One tiny way that Althea does that is that we have an amazing nonprofit that is a tenant with us here, that we try to be allies with, that we try to work with, and help them do what they do best. They're called Spirit of the Sun, and they help Indigenous youth. And you'll see them giving food out at a food bank. So Spirit of the Sun is just one small way that we try to actually live our land acknowledgement. So that's all of that business, the small business. We'll do announcements and things later. And I'll tell you in a moment some other things that are going on. But what we like to do now, to get ourselves in the right headspace, everything that's going to happen next, is cast a little spell. And I would like to invite up longtime member Bruce Cranick to lead us in a prayer. Bruce?
So it's my responsibility to keep you folks in the right headspace? Okay. Well, this may start off a little harsh, but I'll try to. So here we are. Here we are in our spiritual community. So let's relax. Let's be here. Let's be present. With all the noise, the marketplace, the toxic masculinity that we see, with all of our human troubles, this is a place where you can come and let it be, let it go. So let's do that. Please, as you're comfortable, make yourselves comfortable. Relax, let go. Let go of the stress, the concepts, the desires, the wants that we live with on a daily basis. Let's relax our bodies and let us breathe. A couple of weeks ago, I think it was Bob that says, we don't breathe, breath happens to us. And that's wonderful imagery. It's a place to relax into, to let go into. As we slowly breathe in. And breathe in the knowledge that we are individualized expressions of love. And as we breathe out the stresses and the struggles of our day-to-day life. Knowing that we are one with the Creator, that all our needs are met, that awe surrounds us in the beauty of the season, the cool summer mornings, the fuchsia on the front porch, the breeze in the canyons, the love of our family, the love of our friends, the space that this beautiful community holds for us, to rejuvenate and to remember that we are part of a larger and greater whole. So let's move forward in our ritual, in our community, as we celebrate divine, healthy masculinity that resides in all of us. And let's enjoy the day. Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce. This building is 100 years old, celebrating it this year. And it was started by a group of women from Pueblo, Colorado. And you can imagine it's changed a bit over 100 years here and there, but there are a few things that we've tried to bring forward from that time. And a couple of those that we do every Sunday are our Statement of Being, which is on your program, and the song, You Are the Face of God. And I am honored to invite Naomi Peebles up. She is working to be on Broadway one day and support my husband. Did I say that out loud? Okay. And she has been practicing with an amazing group of kids down in our basement for months now. They've had some performances, and just a little teaser here, we're going to do a fundraiser, and they're going to get to perform, and we'll get to see what they've been practicing all this time. So to lead us through the Statement of Being and the Face of God, please welcome Naomi Peebles.
Is that good? Yes. Awesome. Okay. And I invite you to join me in the Statement of Being. God is all, both invisible and visible. One presence, one mind, one power is all. This oneness is all. Is perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance. We are individualized expressions of God. And whatever realm is perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance.
musical guests, we're going to have some readings, and so what I'd like to do is bring up our first reader today, who is Chris Parente Rios. And just so you know, Chris is a 7-time Emmy Award-winning reporter, anchor, and entertainment host. He might look familiar to you. You can watch him weekdays starting at 4:30 a.m. Yikes! Co-anchoring Daybreak on Channel 2. He also does improv. He's a man of many talents. When I asked him what he'd like to do out in the world for fun, he said, whatever my husband tells me that I like to do. And we'll get to meet his husband in a moment as well. But I know he's good people because he's a Hoosier, and my Nana was a Hoosier. So please help me welcome Chris Parente Rios.
Thank you. Before I talk about Juneteenth, I do just want to thank all of you. Father's Day in particular. I lost my dad a year ago, more than a year ago. And as weird as it is, he always finds a way to come through when I'm here. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. So I still get to connect with my dad, thanks to Althea. And that I'm deeply and profoundly grateful for. Thank you. Happy Father's Day! Happy the abs win again day. Trouncing. And most of all, happy Juneteenth to one and all. Juneteenth! It is a day of celebration, of joy, of freedom. And today also serves as a reminder that proclamations aren't carried on the wind. We proclaim it, it becomes reality. They are carried in our footsteps and in our actions. 2.5 years it took for word of the emancipation to finally reach our brothers and sisters in Texas. 2.5 years till they realized they were, at long last, free. That's what we're celebrating. That's what Juneteenth is. And it is a celebration. But it is also, in my opinion, a call to action. A call to what St. Francis said, let our walking be our preaching. Walk the walk. Walk the walk. That's what Ms. Opal Lee has done for many years. If you don't know who she is, I highly encourage you after this service to go look her up. Ms. Opal Lee is known as the grandmother of Juneteenth. It is a federal holiday largely because of Ms. Opal Lee's work. She was nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize not long ago. And for years, Grandma Lee would walk the walk. 2.5 miles every morning, 2.5 miles every evening, to symbolize the 2.5 years that it took for our proclamation to become reality. She did it yesterday, by the way. She walked 2.5 miles yesterday. Ms. Opal Lee is 95 years old. Wow. She is 95. She's still walking the walk. So today I encourage you to listen to Opal's message and to carry it out into the world. To walk the walk the way Opal does. She writes this. Perseverance. That's what I would suggest. You can't get weary of doing something that's beneficial. We all have families and careers and obligations, but we have to care enough to take the time to help. And so I would say to persevere. I'm concerned if we don't all do something, we're going to end up back in slavery. I'm not talking about physical chains, she writes. I'm talking about an enslavement of our minds. We need to teach our children. We can't leave it to the government and to other people to do it. We must make ourselves a committee of one. That's all I need to see, she writes. I've been coming here since the first of the year, and we proclaim kinds of beautiful things here. We make all kinds of beautiful proclamations, but do we walk them through those doors? Do we walk them even 2.5 miles beyond the sanctuary? I'd like to hope so. My hope today is that every day is a Juneteenth celebration. A celebration of the Word reaching people who need to receive it. May we be the messengers. May we, each of us, carry, like Opal does, in our footsteps, the real message of Juneteenth. Because as Opal concludes, don't let my walking be the only footsteps. Join me. None of us are free till we're all free.
Committee of one, at least that committee of one. Thank you, Chris. And now, Chris's husband will be up to give us his musical gifts. Please meet Luis, Corretenios. He's been attending Althea with Chris since the beginning of the year. Luis is a first-grade teacher in Devon Public Schools, working on getting his principal's license, which is so amazing, at DU this summer. And he wanted to point out that at home he's got 2 beautiful rescue dogs, Edie and Bridget, and that he's originally from Columbia, grew up in North Carolina, but has been in Denver since 2019. So please help me welcome Luis.
Hello, everyone. So, we're going to be singing Lift Every Voice and Sing, and this is considered the Black National Anthem. It's a beautiful song. There are remarkable words, and I, as a Latino singing this, I think a lot of what it means to be an immigrant and the liberation involved there as well, and also being part of the LGBTQ community during Pride Month. This is a song of liberation. This is a song of liberation. I hope that the Holy Spirit moves through me into you, and it moves so we can all walk the walk.
Lift every voice and sing till heaven rings.
Thank you so much, Louise. Thank you. It's now time for our featured speaker. So let me tell you a little bit about Greg Roche. He's everything, okay? Everything. He's an executive. He's a coach. He's a speaker. He's a writer. But he said his most important roles, especially as we're talking about it today, are father and husband. He's been married to his wife, Sarah, who has sung her before, but she's singing in her church. We'll let that go this time. Not again. He's been married to her for 21 years. They have 2 kids, Dylan 18 and Gabby 15. Now, when he's not executing and coaching and business leading and entrepreneuring, he loves to ski and hike in the Colorado mountains. With his message entitled, "Through Me, Not From Me, the Double-Edged Sword of Fatherhood," please help me welcome Greg Roche.
Thank you for having me here today. As Jeannie said, I do a lot of things, but stand up and speak about fatherhood is not usually one of them. This is the first time I'll be talking about this. And there's very personal aspects of my life that I'm going to share with you today. And in some cases, I may struggle to get through this. So just bear with me as I share my journey with you. As she said, I do a lot of things, but my most important role is father and husband. As she said, I've been married to my wife for 21 years, and I've been a father for almost 19 years. And if you had asked me to come give this talk last year at this time, I would have said I have nothing to say. I have endured no emotional trauma that I think is worth sharing with everybody. I joke that I will never get asked to give a TED Talk because I don't have any sort of emotional trauma to share with the audience. But in the past 12 months, I've re-examined that. There's been some things that have happened in my life that have actually made me question my effectiveness as a father. And I'm not going to go into all the details of what's happened, because a lot of these details I haven't actually even shared with my closest family members. Outside of my wife and my kids, very few people who are close to me even know a fraction of what's gone on in the last year with my family. So I'll tell you some of it. And it involves coming to terms with one of my children acknowledging a mental illness that's been going on for a number of years, and finally coming to grips with that. Some of the results of that have been school changes for both of my kids, multiple school changes, and therapy for every one of us in my family. We're all in our own individual therapy to get through these things. And I'm not telling you all these things so that you will feel sorry for me and you go, oh, that's so terrible, or you look at me and you go, look at the white suburban male up there complaining about his life. It must be so hard for him. That's not what I'm trying to do at all, but I'm just trying to tell you a little bit of what I've gone through and tell you how I'm dealing with it and hopefully through that you'll relate to it, or you'll feel a little bit of the same thing, or maybe you've got your own experiences that you've gone through. And when we go and we have the deep dive after this, we can maybe talk about your experiences or how you feel about my perspective on how as a father I'm dealing with my family's issues. Can we go to the next slide? That's a little bit small. Let me read this just in case you have trouble seeing it. Your children are not your children. They are the sons and daughters of life's longing for itself. They come through you, but not from you. And though they are with you, yet they belong not to you. And that's from The Prophet by Khalil Gibran. Next. I have 2 children. When they were born, the first moment that I held both of them in my arms, I asked them the same question. Who will you become? And of course, I didn't expect them to answer in the first moments of life, but I was putting it out into the universe. I was really asking the world and the universe, who will you become? I was really excited to be a father, to see who these people would be, who they would grow into, who they would turn into. And let me tell you a little bit more about who they've become to this point. Next slide. On the left is my daughter, Gabby, or Gabrielle, we can call her Gabby. She'll be 16 on December 25th. She's our Christmas angel. She's going to be a sophomore at Columbine High School. She is incredibly gifted in terms of singing and performing. She's also done musical theater and singing. She plays volleyball. She's incredibly smart. She gets straight A's. And as you can tell, I'm very proud of all those accomplishments. And on the right is my son, Dylan. He'll turn 19 in September. He just graduated from high school this past May. And in less than 48 hours, he's going to ship off to Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, where he'll be completing his job-specific training in the United States Army. He enlisted in the Army when he was 17 years old. He joined a program where he went to basic training between his junior and senior year in high school, and he's been doing reserve duty once a month, every month. And once he finishes with his training in Missouri, he'll go to Northern Arizona University to pursue his college career. He'll also be in ROTC, and his goal is to become an officer in the United States Army. So you can imagine also extremely proud of that. When they were born, I had this idea when I asked them that question, who will you become, that I had some sort of control over that. I had this belief as a parent, or I went into parenthood with this belief that we influence who our children become, and if we do all the right things, if we put them in the right environment, and we live the right way, and we influence them with our values, that we'll create better versions of ourselves to put into the world and become even more successful than we have become. It's like our home's a garden, and our children are the seeds in the garden. And if we put them in the right soil, and we water it, and we take care of it, we give them the right influences, they're going to grow into productive adults. And if we keep the weeds out and keep them away from bad influences, we're going to make sure that they succeed. And with my wife, Sarah, we tried to strike a balance between being disciplined, but not too strict with our kids. If you know my wife, and you know me, a few of you know us, we are very complementary personalities. My wife, the musical theater actress, the singer, the performer, very extroverted and outgoing, very much the fun in the relationship. And then I am the more organized, corporate guy, the one who makes sure that when we go on vacation, we get where we're going on time. I'm much more introverted, and we felt like those two personalities together would create very well-balanced kids. But from the very beginning, we realized you can raise 2 children in the exact same environment and get 2 very different kids. When Dylan was 2, and my wife would take him to the grocery store, she would take him out of the car and put him down, and he would immediately run towards the door, through the parking lot. My wife would yell, "Stop!" And he would just keep running. Dylan has never been one to see a line. And if he saw it, he certainly had no problem crossing it. And we struggled for the first couple years because my wife would always use that example and say, why is it that every other parent can tell their kid to stop and they stop, and our kid just keeps running? What did we do wrong? What are we missing here? And then Gabby was born and she vindicated us. When she started to run and my wife yelled, "Stop," she stopped. And my wife suddenly said, "Oh my God, that kid stops." It wasn't us. It was just the kids, the one we got. And we felt like it wasn't our parenting style, it was just kids become who they're going to become. And I think even with that realization, it didn't stop me as a father from trying to control who my kids became. Like I said, my kids are they're different people, they're 2 different people. Dylan tends to be more like my wife. He's very outgoing, he's very social, and he just kind of, flies by the seat of his pants. Which you might think that he's going to struggle in the Army, but when you think about it, it actually makes a lot of sense. He doesn't really want to plan, he doesn't want to be organized. If you just tell him what to do, he's like, great, I'll just do it. So he's going to spend a lot of time with people telling him what to do. It actually works really well. And my daughter Gabby is more like me. She's more making sure the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. They both got a love of music from their mother. As I said, my daughter Gabby is in musicals. When she was in 6th grade in middle school, she got the lead in the school play, in the school musical, as a 6th grader. And the 7th and 8th graders were not very happy about that. But she killed it in the show. So again, as you can see up here, I'm speaking to you as a very proud father for who my kids are today. But as the teenage years approached, I tried to continue to assert control over certain parts of their lives. Their phones, their computers, their access to social media. I thought, I'm going to try to make sure they're safe, not only from the world, but also from themselves. Actually, can we go back one slide? Right now? That's okay, no problem. We'll get there. And there's a quote I always tell myself or say to other people when I'm thinking about teenagers and their choices. And it's actually attributed to Will Rogers, and it's, good judgment comes from experience, and a lot of that comes from bad judgment. Even though I tell myself that, I wanted to make sure that the bad judgment didn't lead to lessons that were too harsh or too long-lasting. Both my kids have struggled as teenagers. They've struggled to keep friends. They've struggled to find their places in the world. And as their father, I was very protective of them. And I attributed their struggles to other kids who were being cruel to them. For Dylan, sometimes we would get calls from the school saying he and other kids weren't getting along. And where appropriate, Dylan got punished for it. And we usually explained it away by saying, other factors were related to it. Over time, these incidents started to pile up, and Dylan got the label as the bad kid from the school and from other kids. And it made it hard for him to keep friends. We'd ask him about it, and he'd just say it was other people's fault, or they were doing things that were spreading rumors about him, but that he wasn't the one to blame. And as a father, as I was focusing on what was happening to my son instead of his role in it, it was really because I didn't want to admit that I was a failure. I felt like my son's struggles made me a failure as a father. And it's taken me a lot of therapy to come to that realization. During his senior year, this past year, in the past couple months that have been so difficult, there were a couple incidents at school with Dylan that required us to actually go in and sit down with the school administrators and talk to them about what was going on. And through all these different stories of what they were telling us of what was happening with our son, one of the administrators said something to the effect of, you know, with one phone call, I could ruin your military career. He said, I know some people who are in recruiting, and I could call them up and tell them what's going on, and you would be out of the Army. Now, whether that was true or not, that sounded enough like a threat for us to make a change with my son at his school. So we moved him from the school he was at to a new school. And that was a really odd thing to happen. Now, keep in mind, this is his senior year, end of the first semester. So he was going to go to a new school for the last semester of his senior year, which was odd, but we felt like it was the smart thing to do. And he was getting a new start. He was going to be able to do, you know, nobody knew him at this school. He could start over. And after a few weeks in that school, those same behaviors started to emerge. And it was obvious that everybody else was not the problem. And when he was asked to leave that school, I remember the day, it was January 25th, because he came home and he had been asked to leave the school. He was sitting in our living room. I had come home from work because of what had been going on. And he looked at us and he said, I need help. And it was the first time we realized some ongoing mental health and addiction issues that our son had been having. This was the first time he had admitted it, the first time he asked for help. And all of a sudden, I went from being a father who was excited about my son's senior year in high school to even wondering if he was going to graduate. And if he didn't graduate, was he even going to be staying in the Army? Was he going to go to college? Everything suddenly changed. And my son has been getting help. He's been going to therapy, individual therapy, group therapy. He's made a lot of progress. And he actually did get into an online school. He graduated, and as I said, he's moving forward with the career path that he's chosen. But in those months of dealing with the calls from the school and talking about all these incidents and these things that were happening, and wondered who was this person that I felt like I had somehow failed in his upbringing, I was so dejected. It felt like a fraud. I felt guilty. I felt like I had made all the wrong decisions as a father. And in one dark day when we were sitting around the kitchen table talking about what had going on, my daughter Gabby looked at me and said, Dad, I think you can give a TED Talk now. And I had to start going to therapy. And I know today, this is in today's world, mental health is a bigger topic than it's ever been. And it's still a long way to go. And I am one of those people who probably prior to this year would have said, for anybody who said I need to go to therapy, I would have said, well, that just means you don't have any friends to talk to. You know, I was probably part of that stigma. And I've realized going through therapy that that's not what therapy is about. And it has been incredibly beneficial for me. But I had to talk to somebody about it. My anxiety was getting out of control, couldn't get my head around what was going wrong, and I've continued to try to find ways to deal with my guilt as a father for not being what I consider to be a successful father. When Ginny asked me to do this talk, at first I was surprised. Ginny and I have been friends for years. We were in Toastmasters together, and we haven't talked frequently. We talk off and on. We stay connected. And for some reason, she asked me to do this. And when I told my therapist that I was asked to do this, she said, well, maybe that's the universe telling you something. Maybe it's time to start talking about this. Whoa. But as we were talking about this talk, Ginny said, I got this idea, and she gave me the quote from Gibran. So now you can move on to the next slide. And I read through it, and then I went back to the entire poem that this comes from. And I thought, wow, this is really helpful for me. This helps guide me. This gives me some idea to wrap my head around when I'm thinking about my kids and how to deal with how I'm feeling about being a father. You are not your children. They are the sons and daughters of life's longing for itself. They come through you, but not from you. And though they are with you, yet they belong not to you. I have heard the through you, but not from you part before. And then that made sense to me, but it didn't really help me. Until I read the next stanza of the poem. And it really helped guide me in that you may give them your love, but not your thoughts, for they have their own thoughts. You may house their bodies, but not their souls, for their souls dwell in the house of tomorrow, which you cannot visit, not even in your dreams. You may strive to be like them, but seek not to make them like you. As I reflect on the past year, I think, I can give my kids my love, but they have their own thoughts. And I can give them a physical home, but not a home for their souls. They're going to become the people they were meant to become. They're going to walk the path in life that's theirs, and I can walk it with them for a while, give them guidance along the way. But it's their path to their house of tomorrow. I can't go there with them. This is comforting to me. It helped soothe me as I thought about the past year. It got me to a place where I'm not necessarily punishing myself for what's happened. And as I thought more about this, I realized there's something else to this. And this is the double-edged sword of this stanza, of this thought process. If I'm not shouldering the blame or blaming myself for who they've become, I also can't take any of the credit. I talked about all the things my kids have done. But what's really been amazing is their resilience in the past year. My son could have just curled up in a ball in January and said, I give up. But he pushed through, and he's moving on with his life. My daughter, who's also changing schools, not necessarily because of all this, but for some other reasons, could have just said, I can't take being in this family. My brother's issues are starting to impact me. But she's stuck with it. And I think that's what I'm most proud of for my kids in the last year. Those things happen because of who my kids are becoming. And as I thought back to the question I asked on the day they were born, who will you become? The answer's still being written. And as the parent of teenagers, my time in shaping it is coming to an end. As they become adults, become the people they were supposed to become, I go back to the last line, strive to be like them. And so the question that I pose back to myself, Greg, given what you've learned as a father in the past year, who will you become?
Thank you. And as Greg mentioned, he'll be doing what's called a deep dive after we all have a little bit of lunch over in Darwin's Den, where he'll take folks deeper into this subject and let you all talk among yourselves and kind of share some of your experiences as well. But thank you very much. Let us know when the TED Talk happens. I see it in your future. And I know you've been through some hard stuff, by the way. I won't tell these folks, but I know we'll talk about it later. So you have plenty of TED Talks in you. We We have another featured musician, our own beloved Daryl Johnson, who also wears many, many, many hats. One of them which is taking care of this 100-year-old building. He grew up in Denver, but spent 15 years in New York City, where he performed on stage at Carnegie Hall and Lincoln Center. Locally, he's part of Denver Sage Singers and the Boulder Chorale. So please help me welcome Daryl Johnson. Candy, are you ready? All right. Candy Finch is going to read a poem for us in honor of Juneteenth. Candy hails from Fort Worth, Texas, but she has made Denver her home for quite a while now. And she's been coming to Althea for a couple of months. And she's one of these folks, she came through the door and she's been here every Sunday since. So we love that. When I asked her what she loved, she said, I love everything, and I love cooking. That was a big part of it. So please come up, Candy Finch.
I would like to say that we're drawing here, fathers, who's father of the church. So happy Father's Day to our fathers. I'm going to read a poem. It's called The Fury of Faith by Amanda Gorman. Whether we prevail is not determined by the challenges that are present, but by the changes that are possible. And then we are unstoppable. If we ever feel we might fail, if we ever fatigue and fail, when our prayer can no longer be fueled or fury, we will always be fortified by its faith, found in the anthem of vow. Black lives matter, no matter what. Black lives are worth living, worth defending. With every struggle, we owe it to the fallen to fight. But we owe it to ourselves to never stand near when the day calls us to stand. Together, we envision a land that is liberal and not lawless. We create a future that is free and not lawless. Again and again, over and over, we will strive up every mountainside, magnanimous and modest. We will be protected and served by a force that is armed and honest. This is more than a protest, it's a promise. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Katie. So this is that time when we recognize that the lights don't keep themselves on at Althea. So this is where we ask for your financial support unabashedly, and we pass the basket around. We have many ways to give. Some folks are signed up, it comes right out of their bank account every month. We love that. We also have in the back something called a dip jar, where you can take a credit card, since we don't all carry cash and checks around so much. And you can dip that in once, twice, 100 times. It charges you each time. And then, of course, we also have the QR code, right? Do we have the QR code again? There it is, on your program. So many ways to give. So the ushers will be passing that basket around. So please dig deep. Again, it's an old building. Carol can tell you all about it. We have a new leak. I forget where it was. Oh, where our tenants are. So we got to take care of that. St. Francis. Sorry, St. Francis. So yes, so thank you so much. And this is our 100th year, as I said, so what you're donating is going to help us prepare for that celebration that we will be doing. I think it's in the fall, right? September? October. Very cool. So we will have a big old celebration. And if they're ready, I'll have our ushers come forward. And then we like to acknowledge that this is energy. Money is energy. What you're giving us is energy. What you give us will come back to you. And so we take a moment to affirm this. And do we all say it together? There we go. The universe provides all that I need and all that I give. With great joy, I share my prosperity, planting seeds for a world I am helping manifest. And so it is. Amen. All right, thank you. And to close out this part of our Father's Day service, I'd like to welcome us to take us through a ceremony. Barbara Vale. Now, I'll be doing announcements and all that good stuff at the end, but Barbara's going to do a little ceremony for us.
Hello. I really wanted to do this as a ceremony for Father's Day, just in honor of Father's Day, in honor of the fathers, in honor of all of us who had fathers, in honor of the masculine energy, the divine masculine in each one of us. And so this is really a celebration for every single person here. I want to have you all be thinking of somebody that you would like to honor in your minds, just at first here. It could be your father, it could be a stepfather or someone who is a father figure or a male role model for you who really exemplified some of those positive characteristics that we associate with the masculine. Things like, well, when you embody it, it's not so much the flow of the feminine, but the more directed, goal-oriented, the qualities that are like straight to a goal, or taking responsibility, providing leadership or protection. Those kinds of qualities that don't go into the suffering states of anger. No, we're not going there today. We're going to stay in the beautiful states of joy and gratitude for this little celebration. We're all on the spectrum of humanity, and so there is the masculine and feminine there, and we all fall in there somewhere, and we all need both sides, the masculine and the feminine. And so my question now is, who do you want to honor today? Because it isn't your father. For me, my birth father died when I was 2, and so in the suffering state part where I know I need to do my inner work, I could think about abandonment, not going there. I'm thinking of, wow, he gave me life, so I could stand up here and talk to you. Or my stepfather, who really stepped in and became a role model, who was a partner for my mom. Even if I didn't get along with him all that well, that happened. Or maybe it was a teacher. I had a lot of great teachers who really taught me organizational skills, even to write my compositions or whatever. Just great characteristics that I learned from them. Or I could even think of Bob Burkoff, our president of the board, and how great it is that he exemplifies so many really positive leadership qualities that make it kind of almost easy to be on the board. And by the way, there are 3 spots open, so just okay, so think of somebody who you would like to honor today. And maybe even it's somebody in yourself. Maybe it's one of those traits of leadership or organization that you really have worked on and that you have been able to be for someone else or even for yourself. In my case, I was kind of a single mom a lot of the time because my former husband worked overseas. And so I feel like I had to take that responsibility. And I hope that my kids learned from that and that it was a positive experience for them. I guess I better ask them. But anyway, think about this. Think about either the masculine quality that you're very grateful for. So we're really shooting here for joy and gratitude. And just I hope everybody's kind of thinking of somebody that they have in mind, or some person. If it's you can say proudly, it's me and the quality of leadership or whatever it is that you've been cultivating. So now I'd like to have you say these aloud so we can bring it into community. So I was thinking that you could say it quietly to somebody near you, but we're kind of all spread out here. So I think I'll just have you say either the person's name, or maybe you're thinking of more than one person, the people's name out loud, or maybe it's the and, maybe it's the what, the quality that you're grateful for them. Okay, I'm going to count to 3, and everybody can say it out loud. 1, 2, 3. Okay, great. Now, I wanted to point out that I have a bowl here by the altar, and I blessed it this morning, and it's been blessed by all our wonderful music and our readings, all the thoughts that from today. And it contains sea glass, pieces of sea glass. So glass is forged in fire. So it really could be a symbol of the masculine. But as it's a sea glass, it's shaped in the water, which is a feminine characteristic. And so we need both to make these beautiful pieces of sea glass. And each one is different, just like we all are different, and like the people that you are thinking of are different and unique. And so on my way off the stage in a moment, I'll be taking that bowl to the back, and we'll be putting it in smaller bowls so that each one of our baskets, each one of you can take 1 or 2 pieces of glass that draw you, that make you think that of someone that you want to honor today, the person that you said out loud perhaps. And maybe there's more than one, or you just, God, I can't decide. And so feel free to take more than one piece of glass. And you are imbuing it with your meaning. So hopefully it'll call you, piece of glass will call you, and you can just take it and think, okay, and you can keep it, and it'll remind you, maybe like my birth father's gone, he died a long time ago. And, but if I have that stone for him, it can be a reminder of him and the great qualities that I associate with him, even though I was very young when he died. And so what I'm going to invite you to do is, as you're going out, hopefully I'm staying for lunch and deep dive, and or if you can't, then anyway, just take 1 or 2 pieces of glass that remind you of somebody and of these characteristics. And you could even give them to the person if you're going to, like for instance, see your father later or whatever. You could maybe give that to him. You've imbued it with your thoughts and your meaning. And so it could have him enjoy it. Joy and gratitude, that's what we're here for. So that's what's going to happen, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Barbara. What we like to talk about around here is what's something called affirmative prayer. We believe in our tradition that prayer is very powerful. So we have folks who are available to you after the service if something has touched you, or if you just want to talk to someone, have them pray with you in this very particular style called affirmative prayer. We do that. And who is our affirmative prayer person for today? There we go. All right, way back. So, and you'll be in the historic library? Awesome. So after the service, you can do that. But what we've started doing in the last couple of months is we open this up and we have what we call prayers for the people. So this is where we actually have a microphone. Who's got the microphone? Where's Daryl? Ooh, Daryl. There, he's getting the microphone now. So any of you at this time, if you have someone in your life, if you have an issue going on, if there's something in the world that's happening, we've had a lot of requests for prayers for Ukraine, for example. This is your time to stand up and let us know, and we will actually have our prayer partners work on this for you. So, do we have our first prayer request? Don't be shy. Everybody's good? Come on. Oh, there we go. Miss Stephanie.
Yeah, I'd like to hold in prayer my cousin Janet, and she is scheduled to have 10 to 12 hours surgery tomorrow morning for a quadruple heart bypass plus removal of a tumor. So I'd like to keep her and all her family in mind.
Thank you. Yes, Luis. Here, we'll bring you the microphone.
I would say just continuing prayers for the families of and the victims of in the school of Uvalde in Texas, and for like continued healing and grace and forgiveness, to see the light in the darkness and all of that. And also prayers, we have kids, so in DPS, in Denver Public Schools, we currently have summer school going on, and part of that, and just prayers for protection and for love and for the joy of learning for the next 5 weeks, for all those programs and all the students and children learning over the summer. Thank you.
Good one. Any other affirmative prayers for us? And you can also always go online and you can fill out a form. That's another way. So virtual. All right, thank you. So we are going to wrap up our Sunday service. We're going to do some announcements. And one thing that's kind of cool is we're starting to get sort of these underground groups that are coming about. We have what we're calling the Althea Culture Club. These are folks who love theater, musical theater, live theater, all sorts of performance, and we're starting to realize, I think we need a whiteboard where we start listing who's going to what and do you want to come along. Someone approached me last week and said, what about Rockies games? I want people to start going to Rockies games together. So I think you're going to see more things. My daughter and I are going to go visit the Methodists. Yes, we are. They're cool people too. We're going to go to Littleton United Methodist Church next weekend. They're doing Jesus Christ Superstar, which is one of my faves. And it's free. It's totally free. They might talk to you a little bit about being a Methodist. I don't know. But we're going. So I'm going to hang this up. So if folks want to be part of that and go together, we can do that. So you're going to see more of those sorts of things going up. You have tons of announcements right here. I'm not going to reread these for you because I think you can handle that. But do know that we have next Sunday a gong bath. If you have, who's never done a gong bath? Oh boy. Okay, gong baths are cool. Check out the gong bath. That is next Sunday after service. You can do both. Pride is, oh, I'm sorry. Woo, let me correct that. We are not having a regular service next Sunday because we are rolling out for Pride. We have decided that we are so in support of Pride that we are shutting down regular services. You can still come here if you'd like, but we won't have lunch. We won't have a regular service. We have sign-up sheets if you want to help us plan for it. We're still planning. If you want to join in, it starts at Cheeseman, so it's walking distance away. So learn about Pride. And Denver County Underground is partnering with us. They are doing a special Pride kickoff comedy show with special headliners and LGBTQ plus icon Solomon Giorgio, 2 nights here at the Althea Center, June 24th and 25th. So they are co-branding that with us, so we're very excited about that. Every Thursday online, Kathy Humphreys facilitates Community Connections at 11 o'clock, which is a group discussion with various topics, and it's a great way to stay connected. The guy who's your chef today, Matthew, is also a yoga guru. He teaches yoga classes, so we have more information about that. We have so much going on. It's just too cool. Anything else? Yes, ma'am?
What time do we meet for the Pride March?
Pride March, there we go.
We're setting that up still, probably about 8:30-ish. There might be a group that'll meet here and then go over to the spot.
8:30 here?
Yeah, sometime, kind of pay attention to the newsletter.
Yeah, we'll be sending out
details.
details.
More details, but about 8:30.
Okay.
And you don't have to meet here and walk over, but you can. You can also join us in the park. And again, we'll have all sorts of details for that. And then the next Sunday will be in July, and so we'll be back to our regular Sunday schedule. Anything else like that? Deep dive, eat lunch with us, at least stay and have coffee. Anything else? That's it. All right. So let's do a quick prayer at the end to kind of seal the spell. So I would ask everyone, as they're comfortable, to close their eyes and sink back in. Take a nice deep belly breath. Get yourself a little bit grounded. Put out a big cosmic thank you to the men in your life, the divine masculine people throughout your life who have been there for you in the strongest way. Think about the people you are there for in the strongest way. Take a moment of gratitude for that. Take a moment to think about Juneteenth. Think about why it was so important, as Chris told us, to not just understand where it comes from, why it was important, but why the battle is not over and it's every day, and how we can get out and walk our 2.5 miles today and never give up the fight. And think about the beautiful place where we live here in Colorado. Our gorgeous spring turning into summer, and so many cool things going on. And think about this beautiful space of Althea. It's been here for 100 years. That's been here for all of us in this room when we needed it. And let's do what we can to be part of making it available 100 years from now, in whatever form it's going to take. I want to thank everyone for being here. Go out in the world and have a beautiful day.